Capital does that. And I recently came back from a trip to Nicaragua where I was visiting some of our clients. And, you know, from the point when I started as an intern, I was hired 4 months later to work in business development as an assistant, and then recently promoted to work in investor relations. And then they just sent me to Nicaragua. So we're growing very fast. I am not the only Northeastern student there. We have we have 2 Northeastern alumni and 1 co-op right now. So it's a great environment to work in. And I mean, in explaining what Root Capital does, I kind of talk about how we fill the missing middle, essentially. If you go to our website, we'll talk a lot about how we fill the missing middle. And we target our clients who are too big for microfinance institutions. So they're too big for a small $500 loan. But they're also too small for commercial banking. And because they're also mostly farmers and work in agriculture, they're in the rural areas. So it's just hard to get there. Roads are bad. Banks, you don't normally find banks out in rural areas of developing countries. So it's this niche market that Root Capital is filling and providing finance for these cooperatives, and also making the market connections for the buyers for Starbucks, for example. So, yeah.
You said 2 things that seem to be a theme. One is interning your way into a job.
Yes.
And the other is international experience. How
Yes.
important are those 2 things, and how would you suggest, what advice would you give to students about those?
Yeah, it's very important. I mean, it's not only, interning is not only important to, put it on your resume, but also to figure out what you want to do. In the beginning, when I first started at Northeastern, I was very much along the diplomacy side and wanting to do conflict mediation, and I still find it very interesting. But I went on dialogue to Geneva, and then I found out that world bit. And then I was super involved in campus as well, in the International Affairs Society. I had always wanted to travel abroad. And I also went on a dialogue to Brazil to learn about security and environmental security specifically. And then I went on, I co-opted EF education also. I thought, international business. It was a student travel company. It wasn't my thing. But just like try out. If you're interested in something, try it out, because if you hold something up and you say, this is what I'm going to work towards, just do it, because it might not be a good fit. And I took advantage of all the opportunities that Northeastern offered with co-ops. I also went to the Dominican Republic, and then I co-opted in Thailand. It also doesn't come cheaply, and so I spent a big part of my time here trying to fight for student funding for international co-ops, because now you all have the global scholars program or whatever, and it's great. Like, I love seeing that, because when we were all in school, that was never offered. They say, go ahead, go off and work for a nonprofit in another country, but you're going to go pay for it yourself. And I found that frustrating, because you come to Northeastern and they say, grab those opportunities, have an international experience, but they wouldn't support. It would close out a big group of students who couldn't afford to do that. So take advantage of that. It's just really important to have those experiences for yourself, and not just for the resume that you're trying to build.
Thank you. I'll let David finish. You can maybe tell us a little bit about the project that you worked on your co-op, and maybe the opportunity that you'd like students to know about.
Yep. Well, there's so much I want to tell you right now. Basically, I want to start by just telling you how I got here on this panel today, because I think it's an interesting idea. Basically, I have this opportunity to tell all of you students at Northeastern this wonderful opportunity to go to India and learn how to be a social entrepreneur, and then get a job at an NGO when you're done with your training. and it's this innovative institution. That the classes are like nothing you've seen or been in before. The closest university or place of learning to that is actually Northeastern with the experiential learning. And I'm just walking around with this opportunity and no one to tell it to, So I'm looking for ways to tell people. And so I go to the International Co-op office. Some of you may know them upstairs on the 5th floor. And if you're a social entrepreneur and you want to explore the world, that's an office you need to travel to first. It's right upstairs. Just go talk to them, tell them what you want to do, and they'll basically cater to your skills and interests and just kind of shoot you off on your path. And they said, you need to talk to Diane Charlotte. You need to talk to her, and she'll help you out. So I went downstairs to tell her about this opportunity, and they said, no, you need an appointment. So I left, and I went on with my day. And I'm walking to Professor Shaughnessy's class later that day, the capstone class, and I'm thinking I really need to speak with Diane. And you need to have a sense of humor when you listen to the rest of this. But this girl calls me to wish me a happy Valentine's Day. So I walk right by Professor Shaughnessy's class about half a mile. I just completely forget about the class. And I turn around when I realize that I'm out near Ruggles. And I turn around and I bump into Diane. I say, oh, hi, how are you? And she says, I got this panel tomorrow, social entrepreneurship, and I tell her this opportunity that I meant to see her about. And she says, you need to come in and tell all these wonderful people about this. But it's tomorrow. Is that too short notice? I said, no, I'll come. Definitely come. And she says, I have an event in March. I have an event. Yep, sign me up. Yep, everything. And that's kind of a lesson in social entrepreneurship. And it's a lesson in life. You can plan your day out. You can schedule all these meetings and appointments and think about the next 3 steps that you want to take to get to your goals. But really, when you're out there on the street, opportunities just come at you the frequency is really up to you and how you're looking at it. And you need to grasp those, and that'll define your path. Basically, there's 1,000,001 ways to get where you're going. You just need to find one. So that's how I'm here today. And basically, the opportunity I have for all of you, I have a little bit of a discussion. I can ask you, who wants to go on co-op internationally? You can raise your hand. If you want to do an international co-op, and if you'd like to go to India, raise your hand. If you wouldn't mind going to India. All right. Good. And you can take 3 months of classes learning social entrepreneurship. Picture this. If marketing is the class that you're taking, right? Marketing and entrepreneurship. And this is how we'll teach you that class. We'll bring in whoever's the marketing expert locally in India, whoever our connections are to, and they'll come in and teach you, theory, classes, bookwork, diagrams, all that great stuff. And then they'll say, here's 5,000 rupees. That's about, a few $100s. That's a lot of money in India. And they'll say, go out on the street, and you have a week. You and a partner have a week. You can do anything you want with this money. Come back with 10,000 rupees. And that's marketing class. And then you debrief what happened on the street. Who sold the most? Who sold the least? You lost money, then you battled back. You made a ton of money. You brought in extra money. How'd you invest the money? You taught classes. You sold rice. You did it. Somebody, hustled, whatever. It's like, these fantastic classes. And then when you're done learning from all these guest speakers and guest lecturers, and you're out on the street practicing what you learn, then you get a job at a local NGO, and you intern for the next 3 months in education or healthcare or agriculture or livelihoods. Maybe you're working with, for example, it gets tough out there. Maybe you're working with the daughters of sex workers who have AIDS, and that's a real NGO that we fund. And those children you're teaching to empower those girls so that they have the life skills that they need so that they don't have to become sex workers for the rest of their lives and continue the cycle. And you could teach there, or you could run the program that's monitoring the portfolio that's sending them money. or you could be teaching at the Social Entrepreneurship Foundation. And the possibilities are really up to you and whatever career you want to pursue after your education there. And that's a co-op that I could talk to you about for July, if you're interested. And that's it.